live performance from the aesthetic group from Dublin. They did a different performance of this A to Z at AC Institute a little more than a year ago. And thank you, the aesthetic group, and thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thanks, Ali.
Are you good to go?
Yes.
Or do you want to wait?
I'd say go.
Okay. All right then. A is for avocado. Oh, why can't it be an apple? I could talk about an apple a day, but an avocado, paintings, images, simulacra. How do we read? A method, a reduction, a list.
A is for anger. I feel subliminally I have no importance.
A is for avocado. Is A for avocado?
If there is an avocado on the wall, then look and focus on the avocado. Note the qualities of the avocado: color, form, position, perspective.
The suspension demands you suspend all that you believe about the avocado.
But the avocado content is still there as it was before.
But does it exist?
B is for bottle. Sending letters across the ocean. A sublime submarine ribbon of highway. Stringing them out on a cable.
Footnote.
In American Technological Sublime, David E. Knight details the American public's affection and enthusiasm for spectacular technologies, from the Golden Gate Bridge to the Statue of Liberty.
B is for bottle.
The people love their bridge and are willing to pay for it. Who will pay for the people's wall? From the gable end to the gable end and back again.
One can claim that often the association between parts can give them a unity in kind. Two parts,
B for bottle.
can form into a partial unity which excludes other parts, but in which further B for bottle and not A for avocado is associated with.
C for coal.
In virtue that it is a complex form of unity constituted by two associations.
Avocado.
Bottle.
AB and
Bottle.
Coal.
BC. The latter associations we then call immediate, while we say the association of A and C achieved in the form ABC is mediate.
Pearls are but words on a string, from A to Z and back again. Everything that we have built will fall into the sea, from fable to fable and back again.
A storm or a volcano. I am not a storm. I am a pixel in the desert, dependent on and resistant to others.
D is for doll.
Lifeless.
D is for doll, a cold hard facsimile.
D is for deprivation. Privation of light, terror of darkness. Privation of language, terror of silence. For the terror kept at bay, suspended, a privation at one remove, the soul must be deprived of the threat of being deprived, of light, language, life. The sublime feeling happens at the edge of this break. The storm at sea, the erupting volcano are separated in space or time.
D is for this productive distance, even if we are falling behind.
Between the terror of the sea and the safety of the shore, we are very welcomed to this space, to these walls, to these white and black walls, to this darkness and this light.
Pearls are but purity on a string, from A to Z and back again. Everything that we have built will fall into the sea, from fable to fable and back again. E is for eagle.
F is for France. Memory is not a duty. Forgetting is not treason. Global heritage melts. Even the new ribbons of fiber optic have a lifespan.
Footnote.
Built by Nazi Germany between 1942 and 1944 along Europe's west coast, the Atlantic Wall was a coastal defense system. Its preservation is understandably controversial, especially in France.
F is for France.
Atlantic Wall could only last 2 years, and even then, could we even call it a wall? The Great Cable is equally faded, or buried transatlantic sublime. What to do with its ruins? Walls plus time equals tourist attraction. The great cable of our great wall will fall into the sea, its permanent connections torn.
G is for gerbil.
H is for heart.
H is for here and now, which validifies the question raised by the new technologies in connection with their relation to art. What does here mean at the receiver of an electronic telescope? What of the now? Does not the tele-element destroy presence? The here and now of the forms and their carnal reception? What is a place, a moment, not anchored in the immediate passion of what happens? But is there any longer a place, a moment not anchored in this immediate passion? No performance without its control screen, and no space deprived of the terror of silence.
I is for iceberg.
Note the qualities of the iceberg. Color, form, position, perspective.
The remnants of that internationally sublime cable remain at the end of the bed.
Footnote?
In 1858, the first successful transatlantic telegraph cable was laid between Valentia Island, County Kerry, and Heart's Content in Newfoundland. This reduced the time to communicate across the Atlantic from weeks to minutes.
I is for iceberg.
Like rosary beads we no longer tap, even the icebergs in the U-boats overhead are now gone. Jean Philip O'Halloran, John Philip Holland, is but a note in Patterson Museum, New Jersey.
Footnote?
John Philip Holland was an Irish engineer, born in County Clare during the Great Famine. He later emigrated to America and developed the world's first viable submarines.
I is for immaterial.
Speed up.
The immaterial exists as barely perceptual differences, as nuance and timbre, the same colour made by a pastel as opposed to a watercolour, the same note made by a flute as opposed to a violin.
There is no doubt quite right for the contents the image presupposes, but the contents of which we speak have plenty to do with each other. They are in fact founded on one another, and for this reason they require no chains and bonds to chain or knot them together.
Pearls are but words on a string, from A to Z and back again. Everything that we have built will fall into the sea, from fable to fable and back again.
J is for jar. The parts were and always are in the whole, not however, separated unities in their own right. We can also include the example of a straight line, which include this sense of immediate and mediate in relation to points on a line. They are the genus stretched.
K is for kite.
L is for light bulb, for the light source that negates the terror of the dark, along with the technologies of amplification that suspend the privation of language.
L is for life. Lebenswelt or life world, the self-evident or given, the sum total of immediate phenomena that constitute individual or shared everyday experience. It lies in distinction from the objective world of facts and reason.
M is for man. Hurl, kick and bounce. These are but child's games where we endlessly hit the ball off the gable end. New paint is needed, for authenticity does not require decay. These time wasters can undermine any foundation, disrupt any promise you wish to make, and ruin any master's house.
N is for nuance. N is for timbre. Receptivity or intelligence cannot take full account of the distress and despair necessary to comprehend the immateriality of nuance and timbre. And it is in this minutiae and ultimately in words that the sublime might be found. This is French, not German.
It is not the species of quality and intensity that vary with one another in these cases, but the dependent parts, which he calls moments, that enter into the sensation of the tone, and which are, properly speaking, the instance of the species.
Is this all?
N is for nous. O is for ozone, that allotrope of oxygen, our dear greenhouse gas. Surrender to the naysayers, the free radicals, and the chlorofluorocarbons.
P is for pastel, applied to these water paintings.
P is for performance. P is for place. This place of performance, where the cutting stage edge is diffused, fragmented, a meandering line, as the spectator enters the scene.
P is for pearls.
Letters are but pearls in a string, from A to Z and back again. Everything that I have built will fall into the sea, from gable to gable and back again.
Q is for queer.
Q is for question. Is it happening? Here and now? Before meaning, before the weight of reality bears upon that meaning, it must first happen. The event as a question mark, approached through a state of privation, a disarming, affirming the possibility of the nothing happening.
R is for rally. R is for Ray. Do, re, mi on a piano. Do, re, mi on a flute. Do, re, mi on a violin. What is the minutiae, the crux of difference between these tonal registers where we might escape?
S is for score. The score takes a narrative form. The score takes the form of a list. The score takes the form of an essay, an explication, an expansion. The score represents the inexpressible.
The score has its own pace and sometimes can be out of sync.
S is for speech. Of what do you speak? Do you dare to speak of Kant, whose sublime was possible because of the ontological scale of ourselves in the face of vastness, rather than in minutiae? Globules on a string. Where do pearls grow? On a thread?
S is for slide.
S is for snail. Some walls only snails can stop. 2 mm vertigo angusters to be precise.
Footnote?
The vertigo anguster is a snail protected under EU environmental law. It came to prominence recently when it was responsible for Donald Trump's failure to build a seawall to protect his golf course from the Atlantic in Doonbeg, County Clare.
S is for snail.
And it will take time. From the empire to the kingdom and back again. These time wasters can undermine any foundation, disrupt any triangulation you wish to make.
S is for sound and light. Light illuminates the snail, its silver trail, its aversion to walls, its need for survival. The snail enters the place, the snail appears in space, a spectator only, a bystander, between the scene and the abyss beyond.
S is for space. There is a corridor leading onto a space. One wall is black, the other is white. There is a projection screen at one end. There is another edition of facsimile on the floor.
T is for tear. T is for tone. An experience of the sublime may occur in our inability to comprehend this minutiae of tonal difference.
T is for tone. The intensity of a tone is not something indifferent or, so to speak, alien to its quality. We cannot keep the intensity just as it is, while the quality varies at will, or is allowed to vanish. Eliminate quality and you unavoidably eliminate intensity, and vice versa.
T is for that it will end.
T is for
There is an intangible but material difference between the same digital image printed on a page, projected on a screen, or displayed on a monitor.
U is for
V is
you,
for
Ben.
violet.
Colour and extension, accordingly, are mutually founded in a unified intuition, since no colour is thinkable without a certain extension, and no extension without a certain colour.
W is for water. We are going to put a border down the sea. Politicians have always been mirror ball magicians. Their slogans are euphoric and bruised. Their walls easier drawn on maps and in our minds than on land or in the water. Yet we still pay for them, from gables to cables. King Canute knew this.
W is for water, and talk of separation implies a thought of the relative independence of the separated.
W is for water paintings, ink moved around by water on a brush.
The picture of side-by-side existence is revealing. It plainly presupposes relatively independent contents.
X is for X-ray. Y is for Yankee. Y is for you, my receiver.
Y is for yes.
That it exists. That it does not exist.
that it has volume, that it has weight, that it has density, that it tastes good, that it is sweet.
That it exists.
That it will rot.
That it does not exist. That it exists.
That it contains fiber. That it contains soluble and insoluble lectins.
That it exists.
That it is healthy.
That it does not exist. That it exists.
That it does not exist in time.
That it exists. That it does not exist. The avocado is still there, waiting.
Z is for
Letters of
Letters of
pearls
pearls
on a string,
from A to
from
Z
A to
and back
Z
again.
and back again.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.